Hey out there, YouTube's Kai here. Just wanted to make an update. It is Monday, October 31st, Halloween, and I guess, we had a snowstorm over the weekend, which was brief, but kind of like introduced us to the fact that it was nearing on winter time, even though it's supposed to be still fall. Um, so there's no trick-or-treaters at my door. I live in a locked building, so that's kind of not possible. But I just wanted to make an update because it's been a while, and I feel like when I go a long time without updating, there's a lot to update, and there's not, it's difficult to fit all of that into 15 minutes. So here goes. 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I switched from injecting to the patch. I am on the 2.5 milligram Androderms. And the reason for this was because my doctor is a strange guy sometimes. I told him that my only real concern right now about transition altogether is the fact that I have so much acne. It's driving me bonkers. Nothing works. I'm now taking, well, I'm not taking anything oral. It's a topical gel plus Proactive. Plus, I take 50 milligrams of zinc, which is supposed to help with acne. Also helps with immunities. Um, and it's not working. So I went back and he said that the best thing for me to do was to switch my method of administration rather than say, hey, why don't you just try some what is that? Um, Accutane or something. No, he says, let's switch your method of administration. And I'm like, okay. I thought the patch was more expensive. I thought, he's like, yeah, it's going to be expensive. But, and then I thought about, how important it is to me. And I was like, well, shit, it's worth a try. If I have to work through, do some extra jobs or do whatever to be able to afford it, so be it. I it was like 2 weeks ago or so that I started it. Um, and I asked him when I first went to my appointment. I was like, "Do you want me? Should I start it now or should I start it next week?" And he's like, "No, you can. You can. You can wait. You can do it now." So I went to the pharmacy, which is interesting how it worked out. The turn of events at the pharmacy. I originally thought I was going to go there. Well, I was prepared to spend $150, but I just wanted to check, so I went to drop off the script. I was like, well, let me check here. Maybe it's cheaper at CVS, or maybe it's cheaper somewhere else. So let me just check to see how much it's going to be here before I fill it. And I had the tech look it up, and the dude is like, oh, yeah, it's going to be $10.60. And I was like, that can't be right, but I'm going to take advantage of the fact that you aren't doing it right. And yeah, so I got a 30-day supply for like $10, $11. So I thought that was a sign that it was meant to be for me to try this out. So I started it the next day. And at first, I'm telling you, it was like, it was intense. Like, I would put on a patch and it would give me a hot flash and I would feel like this burst of energy. I think the reason that was happening though was because I'd had my shot that week already. So it was compounded with that. So it might have given me a little bit of extra going on. So the other thing that was kind of problematic when I first started it was that by a week into using the patch, I started to feel a little bit agitated, like aggressive, not really aggressive, just irritable, like irritable. And so I emailed my doctor, and he's like, well, it could be too much tea. And I was like, well, you did tell me to start the patch even after I'd already had a shot. That is quite possible. Since then, it's tapered, and I feel fine. I mean, that whole irritability issue has kind of gone away. I was just feeling like on edge, kind of. But I feel like that was because I had done a shot that week and then started the patch as well on a daily basis, and that kind of hung on for a little bit. Now I'm okay. Now I'm back to normal. Is it helping my acne? At first, I thought it wasn't. But if the thing is true of there being the shot plus the patch, starting the patch the same week, then that would make sense that I would have more acne. That has since subsided. However, it's not subsided to the point of where I'm like, wow, this is miracle, this is awesome. It's really a process. So my changes are more or less the same. Like, it's not like I've stopped, growing massive amounts of hair. In fact, now I'm getting more hair on my chest than I was getting before. So there's that. Will I keep using it? I don't know. I think I want to give it another week, and then I'll start thinking about it. I don't miss the shots. I'll be honest with you. I do not miss giving myself a shot once a week. While I did have several places that I would, inject, I was doing the top of my shoulder or, your delt, my quads, my glutes, whatever I could do to make it work out. The only issues with the injections was, 2 days or so, you'd end up with like sore spots, for a couple days wherever you injected. Which I don't miss that. Drawbacks to the patch are you get the adhesive is kind of lame sometimes. If you don't stick it exactly where you want it to go, it may not stay on. If you put it on a place where there's any chance of it of your body or your skin folding, it will fold too, and it makes it less likely to stick. I'm glad that it's not summer, because then they wouldn't stick at all, because I sweat a lot. What else? And then sometimes it leaves a little circle where the gel spot was, because basically it's a disc. It's like a round circle, and then there's a smaller circle like in the middle, and inside of that there's like this gel, and it just stays inside the package, and I guess it comes out, and you absorb it into your skin over 24 hours. You change the patch every 24 hours. So some of the adhesive gets less up behind. That's kind of a pain in the ass, because you have to remember to scrub that off. Otherwise, you have all these marks of, glue adhesive on your leg, which doesn't seem to be irritating my skin on my legs. So that's why I've been exclusively, it's like usually I put it on the front of my thigh, or on the side of my thigh, somewhere where there's not any bending or anything. I put it on my chest once. It was a bad idea. The skin, I think, is too thin there, and it's a little bit more sensitive, and it left me a circle that stayed for like a week. But it's still, I guess, maybe a little bit too early to be determined as to whether or not it is helping as far as the acne is concerned. I do feel that it's finally evened out as far as leveling, level dose of testosterone in my system, and I feel okay about that. So, see what else is going on. I've already gone through 7 minutes talking about changing to the patch. I went to Cleveland last week to have my consult with Dr. Medalie, which was awesome. I sent him photos maybe 2 months ago, and he was the first doctor that I sent photos and said, given your previous procedure, I had a breast reduction about a year ago. I'd like to see you in order to give you an accurate assessment of what we can do. And he was the first person to say that. So I was like, well, it's worth it to me. I'll drive up to Cleveland. I got a hotel Tuesday night, and had my appointment with him last Wednesday. And basically he recommended that I get the inverted T because of the scarring that I have from the reduction, because I have a lot less skin now than I did when I had before I had the reduction, so there's a lot less to work with. Meaning that if I had stayed at a triple D, it would be easy to do a double incision. But now that I'm like a small C, now it's going to be harder for him to pull. Like, they have to make the incision over the top and then underneath. So he's worried about pleating. He's worried about, all sorts of stuff that he says he can try to mitigate by doing the inverted T. Still with nipple grafts, still with liposuction for contour and whatnot. So I felt really comfortable about his assessment, and I really feel like that's where I'm going to go. So January 20th is the date that I'm aiming for. He was real cool about, he doesn't even require a deposit. I mean, you just have to pay the the balance by 2 weeks before your surgery, which I thought was cool. Brownstein's really all about the money, and it was going to be $2,000 more just for the procedure. Not even 2,000, like almost like $3,000 more. It was 8,800, and that wasn't counting flying out there, renting a car for that whole time. If we needed a hotel, we were supposed to be able to stay with my wife's sister, but I wasn't sure if that was gonna be, awkward for the first couple days, or if I'd rather stay at a hotel just for, peace of mind if things were gross. I'm kind of particular about stuff, so yeah. I decided against going to Brownstein and opted for Medalie. So we're going to drive up there in January, which is going to be the one interesting obstacle, is driving to Cleveland in January. I don't like to drive in the snow. I've lived on the East Coast for, oh my gosh, 15 years? No, less than that. 13 years, 14 years, something like that. And I still don't like driving in the snow. So, yeah, I think everything went well, and I'm pleased with the final decision for my top surgery. What else is going on? There's a lot. There's so much. I feel like I'm gonna have to split this into two different updates because there's just too much shit to try and put it all into one. So I talked about the patch. I talked about my appointment. I talked about my zits. I always talk about my zits. Oh, and I told my son about my transition officially now. I went down for his homecoming game a couple weeks ago, and we talked about it at length. And he seemed to be, as okay with it as I imagined somebody who's 18 years old could be. But the one thing he did ask was whether or not I would still be his mom. And I was like, of course I'm still going to be your mom. He's like, well, do I have to call you something different? I was like, well, no. I mean, what do you say to that, really? I mean, I feel like no matter what, I'm always his parent. And if mom is what makes him happy, then it's what makes me happy. Same as what goes for my family. I mean, if they choose to, I can ask, I can say, I prefer male pronouns. I prefer that you call me by my chosen name, but if they choose not to, I would prefer to keep the relationship than to sever it by saying, oh, well, you're not going to respect me. Maybe that comes with age. Maybe that comes with the fact that I'm almost 40 years old. I've lived the majority of my life as a female, and that while this transition is very important to me, my relationships with the people that have been in my life for all these years are important to me as well. So, those are some of the things. Now that we're coming up on the holidays and, all that stuff, I still probably won't tell my family about going for top surgery. I probably won't say anything. I just don't want... I don't know. I don't want to... I mean, I didn't tell them about the reduction either until after it was done. And I think that when I went to see my mom, she thought that I had everything and everything was gone. And I was like, no. They're still there. Yeah, and that's what we're gonna take care of in a few months. So, now that rugby is over, I can go back to focusing on my fitness and exercise and working out so that, when it's time for surgery, there won't be a big impact from the amount of downtime that I have to take. So, there was a couple other things that I wanted to talk about, but I think I need to make another video so that I can cover that stuff. But if there's any questions, comments, ideas, topics, feel free to hit me up. Otherwise, I hope everybody's having a good week and has a happy Halloween if you celebrate that. Peace.